Wonderful, thank you everybody. So welcome to this morning's Clio webinar series. Today we have Thomas Morgan from Riviera Travel River Cruises joining us here in the Clio office in Sydney. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded into the Clio's member hub later today. So please check back and watch again if you want to. I will hand it over to Thomas now, who will present his webinar.
Hello everybody. So my name's Tom. I've been sales manager for Riviera Travel. I've been with them for about 3.5 years now. Sort of look after sales, mainly in the UK. Now I'm looking after Australia and a few other countries. So just to start off, telling you a little bit about Riviera because we're sort of fairly new on the scene in Australia, but we've actually been going for over 33 years now. We're actually the UK's largest overseas escorted tour operator, and in the last sort of couple of years as well, we've also become the largest river cruise operator in the UK as well. So we outsell absolutely everybody else over there, and we're also the most award-winning back home as well. So whilst we're relatively unknown over here, you know, we've only been actively selling in the Australian market for about 18 months, 2 years now. We are very well known, so I do encourage you to read reviews about us online, have a look at us. But we're in quite a nice position that we sort of set ourselves apart quite differently from some of the other river cruise companies out there. As you can see, you know, we, just as a bit of a comparison to some of the others before I talk about our differences, you know, we are 5-star ships. They're just as good as anything else you'll find out on the waters in Europe. If any of you have ever get a chance to see one of our ships, I implore you to have a look at it because they are absolutely stunning. The dining's 5-star on there. We include free Wi-Fi. All the excursions are included in the price. But the main thing about us and really what sets us apart from everyone else is the price difference. As you can look there, you know, for one of our 15-day Rhine and Danube cruises, which goes Cologne to Budapest or Budapest to Cologne. If you look at the same itinerary compared to our competitors, we're less than half the price than the majority of them. Okay, yes, we don't include the flights, but with that price difference, you could fly your customers business class, which would make the flights a hell of a lot more enjoyable all the way over to Europe, and there'll still be saving money in there. Some of the other things that really set us apart to the others, we are the only British 5-star river cruise line, so just bear in mind, you know, majority of the customers at the moment are Brits on board. It's in that about 90% Brits, and then 10% is made up with Australians and Americans. We only actively sell in English-speaking countries, so English is the only language on board. We don't have multilingual, we don't have a German, Italian, and a French announcement. It's just English all the way through. All staff speak English, and all the guides are only in English. One of the other great things about us, which is very different to the rest of the cruise industry, is we don't change our prices. Once the prices are set, that's the price. So whether your customer books the first day it comes on sale, or whether they book sort of the week before it departs and they take a last minute flight over there, everyone pays exactly the same. That's one of the reasons our prices are so good. You know, a lot of our competitors out there, you know, they always say, you know, they've got these amazing deals on, you know, $1,000 off here or free flights, but it's never free or anything like that. It's just including the price. Whereas we just put it on sale at the best price straight away for your customers, so no one gets upset, because we know what it's like, and I'm sure you've all had exactly the same experience. By about day 3 of the cruise, you know, they get talking to another couple out there, and there's always one smug person who asks them how much do they pay. And you know, you don't want your customers to be in a position where they paid $200-300 more than one of the other guests on board, and then you have to give away your commission next time they book just to keep them. So you don't have to worry about that with us. We also are the only river cruise line with tea and coffee making facilities in every single cabin as well. So that's quite a British thing, but you know, we do extend that out for everybody. One of the other great things as well we do on river cruising is we include the important things. You know, we include the excursions. As I said, we include the Wi-Fi. We've got bikes on board for people to use if they want. All the food's included. But we don't include all-inclusive drinks, and there's a reason we don't do that. On ocean cruising, all-inclusive drinks make sense. You know, you've got 2, 3 days sailing at sea with nothing else to look at. So, of course, you want to buy the all-inclusive drinks package because, you know, it's sort of $15, $20 for a beer, then of course you're going to take it. Whereas in Europe, it's all about the destination. You know, it's getting off the ship, it's walking about. So we don't do all-inclusive drinks because we believe the majority of the customers would rather drink off the ship and have an explore. If they do want to have a drink on board, prices are very reasonable. Our drink prices are in euros, and it's about €3 to €4 for a beer or for a glass of wine on board. Same for a gin and tonic. So it's, you know, very, very well priced on board, and it just stops people from feeling like, because they've paid for all-inclusive drinks, if they're in a cafe in Budapest and want to have a drink, they don't feel like they've got to race back to ship to have one to get value for money. Let's be honest, if your customers were over in Europe doing a land tour, you won't stick them in an all-inclusive hotel, so why do it on a river cruise? But we do have a drinks package option for those people who think it might benefit them later, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, you know, it really is a testament to our service and the quality on board. We do have the highest repeat booking ratio in the river cruise market, and more people travel again with us than anyone else. Over 97% of our customers say they would travel with us again, and I do encourage you to go online and read the reviews about us, because our customers are our biggest advocates. So itinerary-wise, you know, majority of our itineraries are 7 nights, which does let you sort of build them into packages. So, you know, if your customers want to do a land tour, put their flights together, you can do that. We do have a couple of 14-night options as well for your customers. We have a Cruise of Heart Europe, which is a very traditional Cologne down to Budapest or vice versa. And what we launched new as well is Budapest right down to the Black Sea and back. So whilst it is a round trip itinerary, we're never seeing the same we're never visiting the same place twice, and we go right down to the Black Sea Delta, which, you know, is one of the most amazing places in the world for seeing wildlife and things like that. Proven very, very popular. In fact, it was so popular that the 2017, when we first launched it, sold out absolutely instantly. So we've added more dates for 2017 sold out instantly. 2018 we've added more dates. Let me get my years right there. So we have increased capacity on that, proven very, very popular. As you may have noticed when I was talking about Cruise the Heart of Europe, I say we sell Cologne to Budapest and not Amsterdam onto Budapest like the majority of our customers. And you'll notice with our Rhine itineraries as well, we do start or finish in Cologne as opposed to Amsterdam. The reason we do that, and I don't know if any of you have sailed between Amsterdam and Cologne at any point, but it is the most boring part of the river, unless your customers are very interested in factories and warehouses, because that's all they're going to see for a day and a half. That's the reason we don't include it. You know, Amsterdam is good for a hub to get into, but my recommendation really would be for your customers to do something before the cruise and then catch the train, which is really easy to do from Amsterdam into Cologne. Actually get to spend a bit more time there. You know, at the end of the day, the others, you're only in Amsterdam for a quick walking tour, and it's such a great city. You really want to spend a bit more time than just sort of a few hours there. So I'd recommend spending a couple of days there personally, and then you get right into the heart of the scenery with ourselves by starting in Cologne and sailing on. The other thing we've launched new as well is we do have some Christmas market itineraries. Again, realistically, if any of your customers are going to want to do these, it's going to be sort of part of a package you build them, as they are only 4 nights. And I do appreciate sort of flying from Australia to Europe for 4 nights would be a little bit over the top. So really, you are going to build that as part of a package. But it is a nice option there for you. So here's just a map where you can see the places we go to. Most popular itineraries for ourselves, or the 3 most popular ones, are always the Rhine cruise to Switzerland, which is Cologne to Basel. The nice thing about that one that's a little bit different to the others, because we're not doing Amsterdam, we do see a bit more time, we do see a bit more of Switzerland. So we go to Lucerne, we take your customers up the Bernese Oberland, so they go right up to the top, overlooking the Eiger. It's absolutely stunning scenery up there. In my opinion, it is the best excursion on that itinerary. The Danube, so sort of the traditional Danube, where we go from Budapest out on a round trip, where you visit Budapest, Bratislava and Vienna 3 three major capitals right there. And proven more popular by the year is the Douro in Portugal. So Porto out to Barca de Alva and then sailing back to Porto. A very, very popular itinerary. They do limit the number of ships on the river there. So it is just worth noting we only have the 2 ships on there, which is as much as anyone else can have out there, but it does sell out incredibly quickly. Most popular months for us are always May, June and September. So please just do bear that in mind when booking your customers. I will be honest, our itineraries do fill up very early due to the fact we have our no discounting policy. So if you have got customers who've got a date in mind, maybe they want to be sailing on a birthday or an anniversary, I do recommend booking them sooner than later, but you can book them with full confidence knowing that they won't see it cheaper at a later date. So the ships we have on the rivers, we've got one of the most modern fleets in Europe. The majority of the ships, as you can see, have been launched since 2013. And as you may notice with the names of the ships, we also have a bit of a theme. Like I say, we are a British company, and we do highlight in the names of the ships the Lord Byron, the Jane Austen, the Robert Burns, Thomas Hardy, etc. The only difference being on the Douro, we can't name the ships on there. They have to be called Douro something or other. So that's why we have the Elegance and the Serenity. But the ships are absolutely stunning. They are all 5-star. General cabin size is about 17 square meters. So they're as large as anything else you'd find out there. Our ships typically that are about 130 meters, whereas one of our competitors, Viking, would put about 190 customers on board. We put about 160 customers on board. So as you can see, we give them a lot more space. One of the other big things to notice, I should say, about our river cruise offering is we have 5 cabins on every single sailing with no single supplement on. So for those solo travelers, those who want to book and not have to sort of feel like they're being penalised and pay, the usual double, then I do recommend they book one of those no single supplement cabins. But again, they do sell particularly quickly. So on board, we have all the main facilities you would expect. Majority of questions I get asked about our river cruising does centre around food and dining. So on all of our ships, apart from the Douro, because it's a smaller river and smaller ships, we do have actually 2 restaurants on board. So the first main restaurant, as you will see, larger restaurant, the tables are generally 4s and 6s. We normally keep the tables that size to help keep the noise down. Breakfast and lunch are buffet style, but you can have breakfast in your cabin for no extra charge if you do wish. You just got one of those hanging door cards you fill out the night before and they'll bring it into your room. And then dinner is a la carte, just typical, order off a few different options, which I've got an example menu in a moment. There'll be a mixture of something sort of more traditional that you'd imagine, and then something quite local for your customers to choose from. So if you're in Hungary, it might be goulash. If we're in Germany, it might be schnitzel or something along those lines. In here, you don't book. It is just when you come down to the restaurant, you just do take a seat. Dining is completely open, so you can sit where you want. So, if you've met a couple on one of the tours and you want to sit next to them and carry on your conversation, you're more than welcome. If on night 1 you sat next to someone and they've bored the life out of you because they've just done everything, prattled on, done everything bigger and better than you ever have, and you just don't want to sit next to them again, next night you can just move on. Also, dining times are open. So what we do generally is dinner is normally 7 till about 10 o'clock. Lunch is normally 12 till about 2:30, and breakfast is from about 7 till about 10. Just come down when you want. So if you're off the ship and want to spend a bit more time exploring before you can come to dinner, feel free. That's your customer's prerogative. Vice versa, if they want to eat early and then get off the ship, they can do. What we do have on the rear of the ships is the bistro. So this is a smaller restaurant. It only does about 20 covers at one time. The tables are booked for either 2s or 4s. And like I say, you do book for this one, but there is absolutely no extra charge for your customers. They can only book when they're on board, but what I recommend to them is book as soon as they arrive on the ship. Gives them the pick of the nights. The only nights they can't book in here is on the first night, and then normally on about night number 3, when we have the captain's gala dinner. That's the only night with set timings. But it's not really nice in there. They've got an open kitchen on the newer ships. So the Thomas Hardy, the Robert Burns, the Oscar Wilde, the Emily Bronte, they all have an open kitchen. So the food's cooked right in front of you. It is a set menu throughout the whole week. Reason we do that is to try and discourage people from booking in here every single night. But if they do want to eat in there every night, they can do. That's up to them. No one would stop them. And here's just sort of an example menu you'd find on board for one of the evenings. So I'll just give you a moment to have a little read through that. So as you can see, there's some nice choices out there. One of the main things I would just like to let you know, though, if your customers want to be picky, if they want to have seconds of anything, they can do. For example, on this menu, they fancied the lamb, but they didn't want to have say the dauphinoise potatoes with it. They wanted the grilled parsnips from the fish. Then they can do. They can just mix and match. Now, at the end of the day, the customer is king on board with ourselves, and we will accommodate them in any way possible. So, if they want to mix and match, that's not a problem. Feel free to do that. And like I also mentioned, we do have a drinks package. Now, just the thing to bear in mind with this is I think it's down to each customer whether this is worth it or not for them. Like I say, you will have some customers who aren't going to drink very much. You know, the average age of our River Cruise customer is very similar to the rest of the lines out there. It is 55 plus. Whilst we do have some customers that like to drink, we have plenty that don't. So with our drinks packages, you can see the prices. That includes beer, wines and soft drinks during lunch and dinner. So if your customers are going to have a couple of drinks at lunch and a couple of drinks in the evening every single day, then it'll probably work out as value for money. But if you've got customers who are only going to have a water for lunch or something like that, and then a drink in the evening, then I wouldn't say it's worth the money. Like I say, it's only €3 to €4 for a beer, a wine, or sort of like a spirit and mixer on board our ships. So it is really down to them. You know, the way I always say it with the drinks packages, it's like when you go for dinner. You know, when you go out for group dinner, there'll always be one person who orders the fillet steak and 2 bottles of red wine, and they're always the person that suggests you split the bill at the end of it. So if your customers like that, then they're probably going to benefit from the drinks package. If they're not and they've just had the salad, then they're probably better going pay as you go. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. Also, it does mention on here tips. Tipping with ourselves is completely discretionary. Brits, I'm sure plenty of you are aware, you know, we're not brilliant with tipping. We don't really tip as a nation. So it's not sort of compulsory or mandatory for your customers on board. We do put a recommended amount on their travel documents. It's normally €5 to €10 per person per night, but I would like to stress that is recommended. So if your customers don't wish to tip that much, they don't have to. Tipping with us is just a blank envelope in the cabin on the final day. There's just a box on reception, put as much or a little as they want in, and away they go. I'll be honest, most of our customers just sort of put whatever spare change they've got in before they depart. You know, the way we see it, at the end of the day, they're paying for a 5-star river cruise. You know, 5-star service is what they're expected to have included in the price. So cabins, usual with our ship, you know, 3 passenger decks. But as I mentioned earlier, we do have the cabins with no single supplement. So these are the lower deck cabins, but as you can see, this is the exact cabin your customer would get as a solo traveller. It's exactly the same whether they travel on their own or a twin share, so they get exactly the same size. The only difference being obviously the fixed height window where you'll get some ducks and swans probably float past the window. Now, sometimes you do get, especially solo travellers, maybe with the objection saying they don't want a lower deck cabin because they feel like it's claustrophobic or along those lines. What I would personally say, you know, if you're a solo traveller especially, is you know, this is the cabin you get with no single supplement. We have 5 of these in every sailing, which is a lot more than anyone else really has out there. Now, they might feel like they're going to be claustrophobic in there, but my experience on a river cruise is you're only in your cabin to sleep and get changed. That's it. Now, the rest of the time, you're either off the ship doing excursions, or when you are sailing, you're always on the sun deck looking at the view on both sides of the river. And then when you close the curtains at night, it's exactly the same as every other cabin. So it's just worth bearing that in mind in case you get any objections. On the middle and upper deck, we have the French balconies, so floor-to-ceiling windows, which you slide against the side of your ship and turns your whole cabin into a balcony. The reason we don't put the sit-out balconies on the standard suites is simply in Europe, the ships have to be built all to the same size to navigate through the locks. So if we were to stick a sort of a sit-out balcony on them, then you don't gain space on the outside of the ship like you would on an ocean cruise. You actually lose quite a considerable amount of space, but you still get table and chairs there. You can sit and have breakfast there. Like I said, you can have breakfast room service for no extra charge. So this is the majority of the cabins we do have available. And then finally, we do have the suites as well. The suites, we only have a couple per sailing. As you can imagine, along with the no single supplement cabins, these are the quickest to sell out. So again, if you've got a customer who wants one of these, then I would book sooner than later. Also, like I was saying earlier with the price difference with ourselves, you will really notice it when you look at the middle and upper deck suites and just standard cabins with French balconies. That's really where the price difference is big with ourselves. So I implore you to read through, go through our brochures, have a little look. Like I say, the price doesn't change. The price you see in the brochure is the price. Bathrooms. The bathroom's absolutely lovely, all glass and marble. It is all showers in every single cabin across the whole fleet. None of the ships have baths on them, but that is fairly standard of river cruising. And then we have the massage facilities and beauty and hair salons as well. And then we've also got the sun deck. This is where your customers are going to spend the majority of their time just watching the world go by. Whilst we don't have bars up on the sun deck, we do table service throughout the cruise whilst we're sailing, and it's very easy just to nip down to the bar as well if there isn't a waiter around. All the ships as well have the whirlpools on there as well, so if it is a warm day and your customers want to sort of just cool off, then they can pop themselves in there. But the beauty of river cruising really is the fact you can see scenery the whole time you're sailing and the ease of getting on and off the ships. It's just a deck plan of one of our river ships. Just to let you know, when you book with ourselves, we do just auto allocate your customers a cabin. It is just sort of picked out at random on the deck they've chosen. But if your customer does want a particular cabin number, or maybe they want to be towards the front of the ship or something like that, if you do request a cabin number when you book, providing it's free, we will accommodate that for you. Just if you don't request a cabin number, you'll be auto allocated. So it is just worth bearing that in mind. I've just got a short video for you now. This is of the Jane Austen sailing on the Blue Danube. This is one of our newer ships. Hopefully this will give you an idea of what our river cruising is all about. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of what one of our river cruises is all about. You know, as you can see in the evenings, it's sort of very much pianist in the evening as entertainment. But like I say, it's all about getting off the ship, wandering and exploring. For just last couple of things before I wrap up, how to book us? Well, the great news to start off with is you can only be booked in Australia through a travel agent. So that is absolutely fantastic. We don't have any sort of direct seller or anything like that. So we have two ways you can book over here. If you're a Cruise Co agent, then you just book through Cruise Co. They have supplies of our brochures, so feel free to contact them to get a brochure, and they can do all the bookings for you. If you're not a Cruise Co agent, don't worry. We do have an option for you. You can book through Cruise Traveller. So if you're not a Cruise Co agent, then just go through to Cruise Traveller, and again, they can supply brochures for you, and they can also book for you. One of the other things that's quite different as well as booking, we also hold options for up to 7 working days as well. That's also worth bearing in mind. So if you've got a customer umming and ahhing, you're not sure, then contact either Cruise Co or Cruise Traveller. Hold that cabin for 7 days. It'll be taken off sale, and you've got a week to make up your mind and decide on there. Also on our website as well, or on the website, you can also print trip planners, so you can get a printed quote with the itinerary for your customers as well. So that's it from me. Hopefully I've not missed anything. I do apologise if I have. I only got off a flight from the UK yesterday, so I am struggling a little bit with jet lag today. If you have got any questions, then please feel free just to type them in, and I'll be hanging around for a little bit to answer any that you've got. Otherwise, my name's Tom Morgan. You can email me at thomas.morgan@rivieratravel.co.uk if you have any questions, or feel free to contact Claire and they'll pass them on to me. So thank you very much for your time. Cheers.